Hey guys, about to play some Commander with our Isperia deck. We got a great hand, despite all the lands in it. Having Soul Ring early is always good, and we're going to keep. Let's have removal early. Medomai the Ageless. It's a card I considered putting in this deck, but never did. Extra turns do seem pretty good, though, obviously. So you have his Soul Ring, too. No, he's just doing that thing that some people do in Commander where he taps his lands. I'm going to go ahead and play Soul Ring first instead of our Sajiri Refuge. So I think that's a good idea. White does have lots of ways to blow up enchantments, so he may just be able to do it right away. Doesn't look that way. Now I think I'm going to play Terramorphic Expanse instead. And in the turn, this thins out our deck a little more, increases our chance of drawing a non-land, which is what we want to do. Should be an interesting matchup, though. Sphinx versus Sphinx is not something you're going to see every day. All right, Divination. And we'll use our Terramorphic Expanse. I think we'll get an island. And now we'll play our Sajiri Refuge. Next turn we can play our Commander, which is pretty good. Boomerang will come in handy against his Commander. May have removal for ours. We have removal for his in a couple ways between Boomerang and Oblivion Ring. Gin of Infinite Deceit's, it's annoying that it can't do anything to commanders, but it can do things to all other creatures. So it's a card I think that was printed for commanders, so they tried to make it a little balanced. If you could just always steal your opponent's commander and give them like a goblin token, it would be pretty dirty, I guess. Quiet Contemplation. Okay, that's a good card that will be annoying. We can search out a way to deal with it, though, so that's not too bad. He could tap down our guy right away, in which case it will be pretty bad, but we're going to go ahead and get... I was about to play his Sphinx and cast our Isperia. We don't have anything to do with that colorless mana, and we'll end our turn. So we'll be able to boomerang something and search for whatever we want. Probably boomerang Quiet Contemplation. Medomai costs 6, so he's 1 away from that. Oh, man. Can't attack or block now, so we do have Boomerang to get rid of it, but he also tapped our dude down, so probably not going to use Boomerang just yet. Probably just play nothing now and just hold mana up to do other stuff. We can play Thunderclap and Boomerang at the end of his turn. So it's probably what we'll end up doing to get us, let us search his library, our library for a card when we know Quiet Contemplation's in his hand. I'm hoping he won't spend the mana to tap our guy down again. I hope he has something else he wants to do with it. Okay, Champion's Helm. Pretty annoying. He did not use the mana, so we're pretty happy with that. So I am going to use Boomerang at the end of his turn. Oh, but we also still have Bonds of Faith. So we'll use it on Bonds of Faith instead. Yeah, we'll bounce his Bonds of Faith. Try to anyway. So he may have a counter spell. As long as he's lingering, it seems like he does. All right, it doesn't look like he does. And then we're also going to play Thunderclap Wyvern. We can name Bonds of Faith with our Voidstone Gargoyle if we want to. Having a way to destroy this Champion's Helm would be nice. Unfortunately, it's Surprisingly, not any flying creatures that destroy enchantment artifacts. There are ones that destroy enchantments, and we have one of them, but yeah. So our opponent seems to be thinking, which may mean he has something he can do with his mana right now. I could actually name Champion's Helm with Voidstone Gargoyle, turning off its activated ability. That actually seems pretty good. So we're going to play this land. We're going to swing with both of them. Figure out what's in his hand, and also name Bonds of Faith, which we already know is in his hand. So we're going to say Bonds of Faith. Unfortunately, Gravitational Shift isn't as good against him as it is against most people. Johnny's Presence. Okay, Battle Mastery, pretty gross. Bonds of Faith, Bone to Ash, Ephemeral Shield. So lots of ways to make his dude indestructible to get him extra turns. But right now he just doesn't have the other creatures, so I'm not overly concerned about that. So we named the right thing. And now we decide what we want. We could get Alhamarit and name Bonds of Faith 2 and hold on to Voidstone Gargoyle for something else problematic. Although Voidstone Gargoyle shuts down Champion Helm's activated ability. But he won't be able to play his dude. Well, he could draw land. And that is relevant. Do any of you bounce permanents? I don't think any of the bounce cards do. This only blows up enchantments. And blowing up Quiet Contemplation isn't bad. We could actually Oblivion Ring the Champion's Helm, so I don't know why I'm so worried. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do this turn. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So we can get up to a 5-drop if we want it. So what do we want? Karmic Guide, not very good right now. Haven Surveyor, also not great right now. I'll probably get Angel of Jubilation. And we're going to go... We don't want to tap like that, though. Oh, we have to. We can't play both. That was... I'm so good at Magic. Okay. I think we need to Oblivion Ring that Champion's Helm so his commander can't get hexproof. And we're going to go ahead and play Gravitational Shift as well, which pumps our guys and will pump his commander as well, but not enough for it to matter. That was a pretty big play mistake. Counting how many white mana you have is usually a good idea, guys. Especially when you're trying to cast a triple white spell. So Medomai comes into play, I would guess. No, something else. Gilded Lotus. Ew. That's bad. We need to look at his hand again real quickly. Bonds of Faith he can cast again. But that's it. Well, yeah, that's really about all he can do right now. He can play Bonds of Faith, though, and then tap down the other creature, which does suck. I can turn off his Gilded Lotus, which is nice, with Voidstone Gargoyle. So, taps that down. And puts Bonds of Faith onto it. So we do get to attack with our Thunderclap Wyvern, at least. Lightning Greaves, you're a little late. I feel like Voidstone Gargoyle naming Gilded Lotus is probably what we want to do here. We can also attack with it and protect it with Lightning Greaves. It'll also be a 5/3 for what that's worth. So we're going to play Voidstone Gargoyle, and we're going to name... It doesn't... He can name mana abilities, I'm fairly sure. Unlike most things like that. So we're going to name Gilded Lotus. Yeah. And then we're going to play Lightning Greaves. Stick the Greaves on the Voidstone Gargoyle. Actually, it's a 6/4 because we have 2 Anthem effects. And we're going to swing for 10. We may want to get a creature. Well, we can't search for anything. Never mind. I mean, we're not in a huge amount of trouble just because we have a pretty formidable air force. But our opponent can slow down our roll pretty well. Our Djinn of Infinite Deceits can steal something, but he doesn't really have anything that we are going to want to be stealing. He has Bone to Ash, which is good to keep in mind. It's a counterspell. Ephemeral Shields and a Ajani's Presence both make things indestructible. Battle Mastery gives double strike. So he's really lacking the creatures to really take advantage of Medomai. And Medomai can't attack on the extra turns, so he may just be forced to play Medomai here. Pacifism, of course. Luckily, our Voidstone Gargoyle continues to be unaffected by that, so... Pacifism, and we still get +1/+1 on all of our flyers, so pretty happy about that, I think. Okay, he's tapping out, so we don't have to worry about storage counter. That makes sense. Windborne Muse, pretty good. He's tapped out, so I can play something and then shift the... we don't know everything in his hand anymore, incidentally. But we could play Angel of Jubilation, which will be a 6/4. Move the Greaves over to it. We can actually play both of these now that I'm looking at it. So we're going to do that. We're going to play the Angel of Jubilation. We can't actually play both again because of all the white mana symbols. So, wait a second. I guess I'll leave Soul Ring up and do this. And we will move Lightning Greaves over here. And we will swing for a bunch. So our opponent's dead in the air in the very near future. Then I think I move the Greaves back over to the Voidstone Gargoyle and I end my turn. So that works for me. Keeping that Gilded Lotus unable to be played as big. It's good to remember he has a counter spell for creatures, which is what Bone to Ash is, and 2 ways of making his Medomai indestructible. But right now he doesn't have the mana to do all of that. His Medomai will be a, 6/4? Yes, 6/4. So Battle Mastery on it is pretty scary because it's a commander. All right, our opponent scooped. Kind of just won there with flying aggro in the end. The one card we searched for ended up being useful for it, but we just ended up getting a bunch of Anthem effects. Shutting down his Gilded Lotus was big. So, all right, that was another match. I will see you for